The immigration raids in Southern California have brought uncertainty and fear to immigrants. They are scared to go to work. They are scared to go to the market. They're even scared to go to schools. The raids are happening at parking lots, courthouses, even outside of churches. No location seems to be safe. Even the very foundation of Hollywood is being impacted. From utility workers to craftspeople to studio janitors, many are being affected.
And we are joined live in studio by Elaine Low. She's a staff writer from The Ankler, and she just reported on the hidden workforce behind the entertainment industry. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you wrote a really great article on this and talked about the paralysis we're kind of seeing in LA right now. Public transit empty, a lot of businesses that people go to all the time, they're just noticing less people. What are you hearing from workers, and how is this impacting the entertainment industry?
So anything that impacts the LA community winds up impacting the entertainment business and vice versa. It's so woven into the fabric of this city. And so I was curious, how is this impacting the Hollywood community? You know, it's major studios and production companies. They have very strict employment verification processes. But, you know, Hollywood as a community, as an industry, is built on the shoulders of immigrants like so many other industries. And, you know, I was talking to the leader of La Una Local 724, Alex Aguilar, and he was telling me, you know, it really isn't about the legality. It's about, like, you know, when you have immigrants and citizens who are scared to go to work because they're afraid of being racially profiled, because they're concerned that because of the color of their skin and that they have an accent, that their law enforcement will perceive them as illegal. And so, you know, he has, you know, all of his members, 1,800 members in this union, who are, you know, craftspeople, who support carpenters and painters, people who build the very sets that these TV shows and films are made from, you know, who work as janitors in these studios, who are afraid to go to work now. And, you know, this is really a part of the Hollywood workforce that is unseen. It's not part of the glamorous veneer of the community, but is an integral part of the workforce.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Elaine, as a reporter, what was the moment where you're like, I have to do this story and focus on this? Because I know I've been covering this as well, of just the Hollywood workforce in general. A lot of these companies are bare bones at this time just because of the lack of work out there. So what point did you say, I need to look at this angle of it?
Well, I was wondering, how disruptive has it been? You know, you look at something like the LA fires. Again, anything that happens to LA winds up impacting the business. And, you know, it's also something that it hits close to home because, you know, I grew up as an undocumented immigrant. And it turns out when I was talking to a number of, you know, labor leader unions like Alex Aguilar, like TV writer Rafael Agustin, who also spoke to me for this story. He was a writer on Jane the Virgin. It turns out that all three of us had grown up undocumented. You know, we were here since we were really little kids. And it's just something where you never know who it winds up impacting. And, you know, it's just, again, something that's, when you look at the immigrant workforce that makes up Hollywood, it's an essential part, even though it's not the part that we necessarily think about when we think about the entertainment business.
Absolutely. As you say, it touches so many people in different ways. Growing up undocumented, as we cover these stories, these ICE raids, what do you feel like people are missing? There are many who are saying, okay, well, you need to be legal, and they're blowing off everything that's happening.
Well, for example, I'll tell you something that Alex Aguilar, you know, local 724 leader, told me. He said, you know, when these studio chiefs walk onto a studio lot, and, you know, the trees are perfectly manicured and the studio sidewalks are clean, the people who are making that happen are the people in his labor union, you know, who are here completely legally, you know, but are scared to come to work now because they're afraid of being racially profiled on their way in or out of work. So this is something that impacts the entire community, you know, regardless of status. And oftentimes, you know, people grow up in mixed status households where, you know, a spouse or another family member is undocumented, or somebody's here legally on a work permit but is concerned about the future of, you know, their residency here because they see everything that's happening around them and are afraid of getting swept up in these raids.
And I mean, writing this story from your perspective too, you brought up that you did grow up undocumented. What obstacles did you face growing up like that?
Well, it's difficult. You know, you can't qualify for financial aid when you're applying to college. You're always looking over your shoulder. And despite the fact that, you know, I grew up feeling American and I grew up, you know, feeling very much so like this is my home, you know, some of the most hardworking, scrappy, patriotic people that you will meet are, young, undocumented Americans who very much so feel like this is their home and are very supportive of where they are. And it can just be, it puts you into a real existential crisis when you feel like your home is not the place that's telling you you belong.
Right, absolutely. Well, we appreciate your perspective so much in this really great article. Elaine, thank you for being with us this morning. Guys, for a link to Elaine's article on the Ankler, you can check out our website, kcalnews.com, and click Seen on TV.